What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
That's not fair.
DeGruel protested but eventually bowed his head in reluctant acceptance.
And that's precisely why you've been leaning on me.
Ultima remarked smugly. DeGruel found himself at a loss for how to respond. Ultimately, he had no choice but to accept responsibility for the disorder caused by his actions. From an outsider's perspective, the entire ordeal seemed like a needless waste of time. Given that much of the confusion stemmed from DeGruel's deceit, he had little ground to push back against any criticisms. On another note, the true dragons were known for their destructive tendencies.
Let's not get caught up in the details, Ruminas.
Velgrind interjected nonchalantly. To Ruminas, it seemed there were no details to ignore, as Velgrind's perspective dismissed the destruction of the city as inconsequential. In that regard, Ruminas mused, Velgrind and her brother shared an uncanny resemblance. Of course, Velgrind would likely explode in anger if she ever learned of Rumina's private thoughts. Veldora wasn't likely to appreciate the situation either, but a decision had to be made.
As you're aware, when Evarge emerges, we'll have to confront them. And if we're forced to fight while protecting this planet, we won't be able to put forth our full strength.
Velgrind explained. Those unfamiliar with the threat posed by Ivaraj, the world-destroying dragon, struggled to grasp the gravity of the situation. However, Ruminas understood immediately.
So, Veldora is heading for the sacred tree.
Ruminas asked.
That's correct.
Velgrind confirmed. Feldway's intentions clearly went beyond simply destroying the sacred tree. His ultimate aim was to summon Ivaraj and unleash the dragon to obliterate the planet, effectively resetting everything. It had all been a ruse from the beginning. The destruction of the gate and the sacred tree were merely stepping stones toward his true objective. Feldway's sugary promises of territorial division were never genuine. In truth, there had never been a need to honor such promises. Once the planet was destroyed, disputes over land would cease to exist. Coming to terms with this grim reality, Fen let out a heavy sigh.
Now, let's not dwell on those details.
Velgrind interjected once more, brushing aside Fen's despair with surprising indifference. Smiling faintly, Ruminas brought the conversation back on track.
When it comes to Evarge, I'll handle the cryptids. But even if we bring an army, it will only lead to needless deaths.
She stated bluntly. Basara, his resolve evident, nodded in agreement.
I concur. If we're going, only the core group should participate.
There were no objections to this suggestion. Yet, a significant logistical issue remained, which Adelman was quick to highlight.
But don't we lack sufficient manpower for this?
At present, only 11 individuals were fit for combat. Even if Louis and other renowned generals joined, they could only count on 4 of the 5 warrior generals aside from Basara, along with 7 noble leaders. Velgrind herself was out of the equation due to her strategic role in the larger conflict, meaning she couldn't commit fully to this particular battle. Determining who would take part was another hurdle to overcome. The silver lining, however, was that they were steadily recovering from the exhaustion of their previous engagements. Thanks to Veldora's mysterious fertility wave, the fertile paradox, Ruminas and the others had completely recovered. On its own, such an event was nothing short of miraculous. Yet, the sheer absurdity of the surrounding circumstances made it seem almost mundane. The atmosphere among them was so surreal that trying to make sense of it felt pointless. Because of this, all 11 present were ready to join the battle. If fleeing would only lead to annihilation, they decided it was better to stand their ground and fight until the very end. With such determination, they prepared to stake their lives. Velgrind gave a solemn nod of approval.
I've informed Masayuki in Ingratia, and he mentioned that Hinata Sakaguchi will also be participating.
Velgrind said. Velgrind had initially tried to dissuade Masayuki from getting involved, warning him that it was far too dangerous. If Rudra had fully manifested, joining the fight would be akin to walking into death's embrace. She made every effort to change his mind, but her persuasion failed. Masayuki had an extraordinary ability to bring good fortune to those around him simply by being there. While he lacked combat strength, his presence alone made him invaluable, more so than anyone else. The logic was clear: if Rubirius fell, Ingratia would be next, and soon after, the Western nations would be engulfed by destruction. Masayuki, being the kind-hearted man he was, couldn't just sit idly by and wait for such a catastrophic future to unfold. This unwavering resolve solidified his decision to take part in the fight. Thus, the participation of the hero was confirmed. The key participants for the mission had been selected, but the issues at hand were far from resolved. In truth, new challenges continued to arise. With the revised team lineup, the meeting pressed on. Hinata and Masayuki joined as new members, while DeGruel and his sons withdrew. The discussion unfolded in an otherwise vacant conference room. The final consensus was clear: even if the defensive forces were restructured to consist solely of top-tier elites, their strength would still fall short. Based on Velgrin's assessment of the enemy's capabilities, only a handful of individuals could be considered viable candidates. Naturally, these participants needed to be of at least a rank and possess exceptional mobility. The reasoning was straightforward: they had to be capable of defending themselves.
Cryptids have self-healing abilities, so reducing their numbers is a challenge, but their offensive power isn't overwhelming.
Velgrind explained.
If you understand their behavior, they're manageable.
However, her perspective stemmed from her status as a transcendent being, making the reality for others vastly different. The cryptid's physical resilience was daunting, and taking a direct hit from one of their attacks meant instant death. Even a glancing blow could result in severe injuries. Essentially, each cryptid posed as significant a threat as a Charybdis. What's more, they exhibited an unsettling level of intelligence, adapting to situations and coordinating in groups when necessary. Estimates suggested there were over 1,000 of these creatures actively stirring. No matter how it was calculated, the situation spelled disaster for the world. Given the circumstances, strategies like setting traps, cornering the enemy, and systematically eliminating them, methods successfully employed by Obara and the 4 heavenly kings under Milam's command, were unfeasible. The stakes were too high, and the likelihood of casualties made such plans impractical. Ultimately, the decision was made to limit the team to only the strongest and most capable individuals, as they were the only ones who stood a chance against such overwhelming odds.
I've contacted Calgurio, and Minutes is on their way. We've brought back the Empire's split body, so their defenses are weaker, but it's a better option than letting the world fall apart.
Velgrind stated. Masayuki gave a nod of agreement, now seated alongside Hinata in the meeting.
You're really dependable. I've got protection, and I doubt any attacks will get near me, so I think I'll manage somehow,
Masayuki said. Lately, Masayuki had become more candid about himself. He had stopped relying on his ultimate skill, King of Heroes, which was meant to be his source of power, and decided instead to place his trust in his natural luck.
I've known for some time now that things go more smoothly when I let go. I used to act like I had everything under control, but I realized this isn't the time to waste energy on appearances. My decision to join this fight wasn't motivated by a hero's ideals. If I sit back and do nothing, the world's doomed anyway. Surviving on my own is pointless. I might as well gamble on a chance for everyone to survive.
This reasoning, though passive, had a calming effect on those around him. Regardless of his motives, the impact of Masayuki's actions made him undeniably a hero in the eyes of others. Hinata was there as well. In light of the looming crisis, she left the Western nations behind and hurried to the battlefield. Hinata had remained patient when she first learned of DeGruel's advance, but this situation was entirely different. Rimuru wasn't present.
I can't believe he's been defeated.
Rimuru always exuded a calm detachment, no matter the circumstances. His presence alone gave everyone a sense of security. Now, with him gone, they could no longer indulge in the naive belief that he would resolve everything. Hinata had no choice but to step up and take action herself.
I've brought together the finest warriors, leaving only the minimum defense for each nation. Without Rimuru, we have to give it our all. If we can't preserve the place he's meant to return to, you can bet he'll have something to say about it.
Hinata's expression was harsher than usual, her icy demeanor sharper than ever. Without Rimuru's presence, she had lost the balance he brought, reverting to the cold, ruthless persona she had once been known for. Those who remembered her past couldn't help but notice the change.
Well, there's no helping it.
Even Ruminas recognized this shift but chose not to mention it. Rimuru's absence had been a stark reminder to everyone of just how much they had leaned on him. But lamenting over it wouldn't help. Instead, the group turned their focus to whether this dire situation should be revealed to the world. Given the anticipated lack of manpower, they debated summoning the most capable fighters from across the globe.
I understand the need for self-preservation, but it's meaningless if the entire world crumbles.
Ruminas stated firmly.
Frankly, I'm indifferent to humanity's fate. My concern is for those under my protection. As for the rest, if they don't respect me, I couldn't care less if their numbers dwindle. More will come along in due time, won't they?
Sure, if more appear. But this calamity was different. The catastrophe set to emerge through Heaven's Tower was an existential threat to all forms of life. Left unchecked, humanity itself might not survive. For this reason, Ruminez insisted that their efforts should be focused on defending this site. Whatever happened to the rest of the human domains was irrelevant. She believed their forces should be concentrated at the source of the problem. Those too weak to fight would simply have to fend for themselves. In this way, Ruminez made decisions not for the sake of humanity, but to serve her own priorities. Yet no one could oppose her. They all understood that lofty ideals and beautiful words wouldn't be enough to overcome this crisis. Recognizing the reality of the situation, they prioritized practicality, weighing gains and losses to tackle the impending disaster.
So, what's your plan?
Hinata inquired.
Let's face the truth and inform the nations.
Ruminez replied firmly. She explained that they needed to alert the countries about the impending crisis.
If we stir up fear without proper preparation, we risk losing control.
She added. However, Ruminez wasn't particularly worried about that possibility.
It doesn't matter. If people can't trust us, they'll have to fend for themselves.
Though rhetorical, her point was clear. If they couldn't safeguard everyone, causing panic would be futile. Better to bide their time and assess the situation. This was the stance of a true protector. In reality, unchecked fear and anxiety could lead to chaos, resulting in dangerous mobs. Ruminez fully understood the risks but knew her limited forces couldn't be wasted on people consumed by hysteria.
Only a select few champions will truly be useful. Our job is to unite the rest of the population under their leadership.
It won't be easy, but we have no other option but to let them handle it.
Hinata agreed, and Ruminez's approach was approved by the group. Ruminez was set to deliver a global address on short notice. Unlike her usual protocol of notifying nations through an oracle, allowing time for preparation, and presenting a formal speech, this time the decision was made to proceed without any prior warning. As a result, Ruminez's image abruptly appeared in the sky over every nation, broadcast simultaneously worldwide.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Nissa L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M., Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Kirisoto Sama, JV, Thomas, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Monty Boy 98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Sky T, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Akshay Devate, Elvin Quarty, Ian Sikibiol, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Joshua Wolf. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.